And well, for more on this, to talk more about SEBI versus Hindenburg, we're now being joined by ES Sarma. He is the former secretary to the Government of India in the Ministries of Power and Finance. Mr. Sarma has also written a letter to the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman seeking judicial probe into the Hindenburg allegations. Welcome to the show, sir. I want to first start by asking you that you have written to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman seeking a judicial probe into allegations of a conflict of interest. My first question to you is that what made you write the letter and what are your key demands?
Let me first clarify that the accusations made against the chairman of SEBI are only accusations. They are not yet proven. So to that extent, I would not like to cast any aspersions at this stage. Now, the second important thing is, the SEBI chairman or any member, if they make any disclosure, that disclosure should be to the Ministry of Finance and the Cabinet Committee on Appointments, which appoints them. So the question is, she cannot give a clean chit to herself. So what all I said is that this is a matter which needs a further inquiry. Now, the more important thing I think many people are missing is that there's a whole lot of background to this. I have written many times to the finance minister and others about a shadow economy actually flourishing outside India, and many overseas shell companies have been set up, and some of these business houses are stashing their illicit wealth in these overseas shell companies. They are using them to evade taxes, that is a minor one, but they're also probably using them to manipulate the stock market. Now, the first thing is that, what is an overseas shell company? The definition. In 2018, the Minister for Corporate Affairs, I think, informed the Parliament that this definition is not available, and there is a definition in the United States Security Commission's laws and Europe, but no such definition is available in India. So there is necessity of defining it. I think they appointed a task force, but the task force never saw the light of the day. Their report has never come. I have been writing to Government of India that you should define it in the Companies Act, in the Prevention of Money Laundering legislation, and then in the SEBI regulations. Everywhere you should define what an overseas shell company is. So they have deliberately left a legislative gap that has given a cover for these overseas shell companies to operate from abroad. Now, the second important thing is, in 2014, SEBI actually issued some stringent instructions defining what that some kind of a requirement of by a foreign portfolio investor on beneficial ownership of their funds. And these were fairly stringent. Now, in 2018, for a very strange reason, SEBI relaxed it and literally making it easy for some of these foreign portfolio investors to hide their beneficiary owners. In fact, this particular fact, it came out in the report submitted by the committee appointed by the Supreme Court on the Adani Hindenburg, the first report. Actually, it was mentioned very clearly saying, why did SEBI do this? Now, SEBI has disempowered itself from investigating such matters. In fact, there was an inquiry, I think, on some of these overseas companies of the Adani group earlier. We don't know what really happened. So this is something which is very, very disturbing. Now, the third important thing is, in August 2022, the Department of Economic Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, issued an order which again relaxed the definition of how an overseas shell company should operate. It literally, the particular order of DEA made it easy for many of these people to stash their money in shell companies and then round trip it through third countries to India. So that itself is a very big relaxation. I wrote to the Ministry of Finance at the time saying, why did you do this? This is not on. And then strange things happened. Former chairman of SEBI, one of the former chairman of SEBI, joined the board of directors of Adani Group, which raised eyebrows. That is one.
Right.
And of course, subsequently, the Prime Minister and Home Minister of India, during the election speeches, uncalled for, and I would even say irresponsible for them, to make statements about the stock market, saying the stock market is going to have a very big spike, and people suggesting that people should invest, literally misleading billions of small investors in India to invest in the stock market. As a result, there is a spike in the stock market, and there was a sharp fall. I'm sure many people made money in these big people. Many retail investors perhaps lost their money. You know, you should remember the Life Insurance Corporation of India, which is run on policyholders' money, their savings, hard-earned savings, and that was all exposed to the stock market when the government opened a window of 5% for disinvestment. At that time, we objected, some of us, and all that kind of small investors would lose. India's stock market is still not very shallow. You know, it's not mature. So any fluctuation can really harm the small investors. So these are all matters, the larger picture which you have to see, how the SEBI Hindenburg second report really impacted the whole thing. Now, one or two important questions I raised in my letter are, when the SEBI chairman, you know, has some investments which may be legal, which may not be legal, which may be transparent, may not be transparent, which may have some connections with some business groups. But some of these things, did she, as a member, full-time member of SEBI, did she make a disclosure to Government of India, the Ministry of Finance? Similarly, when she became chairman, did she make a disclosure to Ministry of Finance? And did the Ministry of Finance apprise the Cabinet Committee on Appointments, which actually makes all these appointments? Was the Cabinet made aware of these things? This is much more important. Now, the second thing is, you know, once there is a doubt like this, I think somebody has to investigate. Now, can SEBI do that? No, it can't. Obviously, some independent agency. Now, which is that independent agency? Ministry of Finance? No. Now, today, unfortunately, in India, many regulatory authorities have been compromised, and their integrity is under scrutiny. I mean, people, you know, losing credibility in some of these institutions. So in such a case, I thought the best thing would be to ask an independent judicial commission appointed under the Inquiries Commissions Act to be appointed, and the head of that inquiry commission should be nominated by the Chief Justice of India, and such a committee within a time-bound time frame, they should submit a report, and that report should be placed before the Parliament. That is very important. The Parliament should be the custodian of that report. So this is what I suggested, and many people are losing this larger picture of what is happening in India since 2018, 2017 or so, how India is actually nurturing a shadow economy, and which is being used by some corporates for manipulating stock markets and illicit wealth being stashed and tax evasion and whatnot. So these are important issues, I think, and that has to be looked at.
Right, Mr. Sarma, you have given us a rundown of your key demands in that letter you've written to the Finance Minister. In your report, you've also said that if accusations made by Hindenburg are factually found to be correct, then all investigations conducted during the last year comes into question. Just to follow up on that, what does this mean for SEBI's credibility if the accusations perhaps turns out to be true?
I never said that the accusations are true. I only said that the accusations deserve investigation, independent investigation, not by SEBI. You know, it's not enough if the SEBI chairman issues a rejoinder rebuttal, and if then Hindenburg again comes back with some questions. You know, this can go on. See, that kind of a correspondence is not good for the integrity of the stock market and the regulator's position as an independent authority. That's not good. So I said that these accusations, once they are made, I think they should be investigated. And even the Hindenburg first report, there are many accusations, and even today, you know, we don't see the light of the day on those things. Why should it take such a long time? And many Parliament replies, some details are given. I wrote several letters to the Finance Minister herself and others, but nothing has happened. Even on the finance minister and the prime minister and home minister's statements during elections as public functionaries, I wrote a letter to the Secretary Department of Economic Affairs asking for a probe. I don't know what happened to that. And now the question is, if SEBI has made some investigations in the last few years, the time frame during which such a conflict of interest would have existed, then such investigations have to be revisited. If SEBI has passed orders during that time, they have to be revisited. See, that's why an independent judicial commission is the only answer to this, in my view, to restore credibility to SEBI and other institutions in India.
Right, Mr. Sarma, thank you so much for joining us on the show with your insights.
Thank you very much.